Hello, good evening, everybody. How are you? Greetings from San Pablo City in the Philippines. And here is someone greeting us morning. That's great. Must be somewhere in a different part of the world. And hello, everybody who is joining us today. I think there are some scouts joining us today as well, again, like usually. That's wonderful. And I have my special guest here. Yeah, Pinoy Scout TV is there. Good morning, good evening. Yes, nice to see you guys. Great to have you here. And I have a special guest today, my good friend. Yeah, we have there Cordy, Joanne as well. Excellent. Nice to see you. We have my good friend Victor Dela Casa here. He is working as a sustainability expert, and we're going to talk today about, what this is all about. Having a job as a sustainability expert. What is the prospects here in the Philippines? How can you make it happen? Is it well paid? And so on and so on. I'll tell you as well a story about me when I was a teenager and my late father. So welcome, Victor de la Casa. Say hi to Victor from Subic.
Thank
Hey,
you very
Victor,
much.
how are you?
Thank you very much, Matthias. I'm good. How are you?
I am good too. I'm good too. Nice to see you here. And
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure. It's a
how
pleasure, my
is
friend.
how are you doing, and how is Subic doing at the moment?
Currently, it's very cold here. I would say around like 20 or something degrees right now. It's very cold, very windy here in Subic. But overall, everything is okay. The family is fine, and hopefully yours too in Laguna.
Yes, yes, we are great. We are great. We are excellent. Highlands, good to see you as well. I'm not sure why you guys are all saying good morning. I'm not calling it from Europe. I'm calling from San Pablo City. So it's good evening as well. Or maybe some of you have been on night shift and you're just coming to watch after your night shift. But yeah, great to see you all here. And as normal, if you have any specific questions, feel free to share them. But first of all, Victor, how did you end up uh, being someone that started off totally different but ended up working in sustainability? How did you end up working in sustainability, and what was your experience trying to make a positive difference with such a kind of job?
Thank you, Matthias. Actually, when I went to Canada, that's where I would say it all started. Being in a different country, completely different than here in our own here in the Philippines. You get to see the standard of life and how people over there actually care about their the environment and their community, right? So me as a public servant back then, uh, I was always advocating something about one way or the other about sustainability. And then when I went back here in the Philippines in 2013, I'm always looking for something very meaningful to do. And there was this company here in Subic that I worked for, and I worked for them for 7 years. Initially, it's in marketing, but as my experience, knowledge, and everything grew in that company, I realized that sustainability is embedded in the framework, the fiber of this company, right? And that's when I started advocating to have sustainability as a major part of its marketing and take sustainability more seriously as a major contributor in the success of the company that I worked for.
Excellent. That makes a lot of sense. And thanks as well for the scouts out there to clarify with me why they are wishing us good morning. For the
Good
scouts,
morning.
Lance, thanks so much. It's always in the morning. And great to see, Victor, that you had that progressive journey, right? You
Yes, it
started
is.
off and then step by step. Yeah, Kim as well. Good morning. And it's always morning for the scout. We need to be prepared all day. Yeah, you might hear some animal noises and might have to check them out in the middle of the night. So it's always morning, right? Always
It
ready.
is.
Great, great.
It
And,
is.
Victor, we have a lot of youngsters here, students. Uh, if you are a student or a fresh graduate, how
Mhm.
can you prepare a career in sustainability? How do you get started? How do you gain experience?
I think you need to start working on your portfolio even when you're still studying in university or in college, right? I mean, there are a couple of ways. If I could go back in time and know what I know now, what I would do is number one, I would probably start a university organization in my university, and convince the school that I go to take sustainability as a major part of its what do you call that? Its vision, I would say. So that's one of the things that you can do. You could also volunteer to sustainable organizations that are already existent. You have to remember, you have to think like this. Sustainability is not just one area. It's not just about employment or food security or uh, sustainable construction. It Sustainability is actually very wide. There are so many things out there
So
that you could do.
every job
Mm.
has an aspect of sustainability in it, right?
Yes,
Whatever
there
you
is.
wanna,
There
whatever
is.
you want to study. I mean, some of you guys, we just have greetings from Xandril, from
Mhm.
Pampanga. That's not far away from where you are, right?
Yes, not
Pampanga
very far
is
at all.
not far away from Subic. Then we have Scout Leonard from Negros Occidental. I mean, you guys, what kind of jobs do you want to pick
Mm.
up in the future? I would love to hear from you. If you can comment in the chat box your plan, what job you want to do in the future, Vic and myself, we can kind of try and come up with what are the sustainability aspects of the job that you plan to do in the future. And remember, I told you I was going to tell you a story. My story was when my late father asked me when I was a teenager, like the scout years, and we didn't have a scout organization, but I was in the YMCA. We were
Mhm.
camping, we were out there in the nature, we were playing all the time in the nature. So I'm a nature guy, and that's how I started loving the planet. When my late father asked me, boy, what job you want to do in the future, I basically said that my job will be to save the planet.
Mhm.
And he said, boy, you can't make money from hugging trees. Get a proper job. That's not a proper job. It won't earn you any money. We'll come back to that in a minute. I'll ask you, Vic, about money. But here we
Fathers,
have
right?
Lance. Lance wants to become a software developer. What's your view, Victor,
Mm.
how a software developer can help sustainability?
Software developer. What you can do is you can develop softwares or apps that can actually calculate, I would say, like calculate carbon emissions or whatnot, pollution, for example. There are a couple of things that you could come up with as an idea to create a startup company around solutions that can help in sustainability. One of the things that I talked to with a friend of mine, an inventor here in Pampanga, is the creation of, let's say, something on preserving food, which is something that I needed a while back with my work. But as a software developer, you have a lot of power in order to create technology solutions out there that can definitely be beneficial to the planet, or overall sustainability in the world.
Yeah. And I am working on a project with Finland at the moment. Vic will
Mhm.
get involved in that as well. It basically turns sustainably planted wood into high
Mhm.
performance building materials so that that building material can replace wood, steel, concrete, or other building materials that are very damaging for the planet. They have a high carbon footprint. If you have sustainably planted wood, and you keep regrowing it and you replant it, then it's a very good building material because it has absorbed sequestered carbon.
Mhm.
Whereas to manufacture cement, you need to release loads of carbon, so it's
Yep.
not good for the environment. So that could be an example. And this Finnish technology, the key difference is the software that controls the production process is based on IoT, Internet of Things,
Yep.
and the software makes sure that the drying and the modification of this wood material is done in such a way that it is high performance, high strength, and it can resist temperature changes like rain and stuff like that, then it becomes a high performance building materials. So it's the software that is the key to the success there.
Yep, exactly. Another
And
good,
then we have, yeah.
yeah, another good example. This was a question that was raised to me a few years back. In our company, we produce plastic, right?
Mhm.
So one of our customers asked, "How many trees do I have to plant in order to negate the carbon that was produced when in the production of the material that you are selling?" So these things, apparently there are sources on the internet, but they're not very accessible. Imagine creating a software that will allow you to calculate how many trees you need to plant in order to negate a specific tonnage of plastic, for example, right? So these are things, ideas that you can try out and see if you can actually come up with the solutions with. So you're
Excellent.
saying something,
Yeah.
Matthias.
We have Jules Carlo, who wants to become an engineer. And engineers, we need them for massive and sustainable innovation in the future.
Hmm.
Spot on, Jules.
Yeah.
Totally agree. The engineers can come up with new solutions, new technology, whether it's in buildings, whether it's for construction, whether it's for machines. We need to make them more efficient. We need to decarbonize them. So, engineers with a green mindset, not green minded engineers, but engineers with a green mindset, we need those. Excellent, excellent. Then we have John Edward. He'd love to be a doctor and help other people. I've given trainings for St. Luke's, for example, on how to go green. They wanted to be more energy efficient, have lower carbon footprint, reduce wastage. So this is a very, very a great job where you help people primarily. Number one, number two is you can help the planet. And there is a group in the Philippines, Healthcare Without Harm. It's
Hmm.
actually focusing on doctors that will help to reduce pollution and help the planet. On those two job profiles, Vic, engineer and doctor, any comments from your side?
I think they are very, admirable and noble professions. I personally, when I was looking for a degree in when I was in college, I actually passed in the University of the Philippines engineering, civil engineering. So me, I always find engineering is very admirable. You can actually create a lot of good stuff. But as a doctor, also, you have to understand, like there are doctors for change, like or organizations that have doctors who actually go to the fringes, the countryside, for example, for free to provide treatment to people. You have to understand, guys, sustainability is, like I said, sustainability is not one dimensional. You could be contributing towards sustainability by helping the quality of lives of certain people, especially people who are, out there in the woods or the sticks, as we call it in Canada, right? And these are
Yeah,
people are usually hard. They find it difficult to have access to medicine and medical assistance. So a lot of stuff there you can actually
great.
do.
Great examples. That is the social aspect of sustainability, helping
Hmm.
people. And thanks, Christian James, for your comment that our show is very informative. More power to you as well with the implementation, with the action, with the good work that the scouts are doing. We have Carl Justin watching from Negros Occidental Council. Wonderful. Then we have Lawrence from Marinduque. I love Marinduque. I have been there. I'm not sure, Lawrence, whether you know this organization, Agrea. They invited me to visit them. My good friend Cherry Attilano, she is a sustainable farmer, and they come up with all sorts of innovation. They are helping the farmers in Marinduque and Suragao. So I think Cherry might be actually there at the moment. I loved my time in Marinduque. I gave talks there at schools, and we set up like a bamboo area for planting for the school kids. It was really, really great. So we have Cordy here. Uh, love to be a policeman. That's great. As a policeman, you are enforcing the laws, right? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we had open burning here in the neighborhood rampant the last few days. It's very difficult to enforce it in the Philippines.
It
And
is.
then, as a policeman, you are standing for law and order. We have sometimes needs in the Philippines to have better and efficient enforcement of environmental laws as well. And then we have Audrey asking, what is the best career to contribute to more sustainable future? Vic, you want to comment on that
Like I
question
said,
from Audrey?
yeah, like don't look. I would say, don't look at right away. Don't look right away to get a sustainable related role or sustainability job right away. That's what I'm saying. What you need to do is get a job, get in, find an employer, and then once you're in, then that's when you introduce ideas or philosophies about sustainability. That's the best thing you can do. Because right now there are positions out there are careers out there, but s- sustainability just only arrived, I would say, like around 30 years ago. So compared to like HR, for example, or marketing, you know, it's not yet completely a position for a lot of companies to have. So once you've found an employer, try to introduce these ideas, recycling, waste segregation, for example, and then it will create more value for you, and then eventually you could become the sustainable officer or sustainability manager of that company that you join.
Yeah, we have great input there. I did it differently, Vic.
Mm,
I decided I want to be an environmental guy. At that
mhm.
time, rightly, sustainability was not so clear yet. I
Yes,
wanted
yes.
to be an environmental, like a chemist or engineer. But actually, what I am more is a communicator, a
Hmm.
promoter, an inspirer, a trainer, a speaker. I only realized that during my studies when I found out that my chemistry lab are so boring. Oh man, this is so boring. And I realized I'm better at communicating. So I shifted more. I did a master's in management. And yeah, so this is a great question. Then we have Mika Grace. I like her point as well. She wants to become a psychologist, an environmental psychologist, since they study human responses to natural technological hazards and examine the influence of different environments we humans encounter. Very
Hmm.
interesting
Yeah.
angle. I think we need that human psychology behavior to as well encourage humans to take the future threat of climate change more serious now, and to
Hey,
inspire them to celebrate the beauty of the environment, to connect with the natural environment, and then the response to the technical and natural hazards. Very, very good point. We need you, Mika. We
mhm.
need you to be the psychologist that helps us to address all of these things. And maybe, Vic, you can comment on Lauren's question. In our opinion, do you think that your chosen path or career affects you on contributing to sustainability? What do you
Well,
think?
well, in your opinion, yeah. In my case, I think that I'm contributing. If you guys don't know, Matthias and I are also together in a different show on sustainability. And for me, wanting to do something really meaningful, wanting to help spread the message of sustainability, I feel that in terms of what I'm doing right now, it's very meaningful and I enjoy what I'm doing. Speaking also with Matthias and learning more about the sustainability and sharing that to a lot of people. So yeah, it is a very fulfilling chosen path, and it's contributing on towards sustainability. What about you,
Actually,
Matthias?
yeah, if you consciously want to, Lawrence, in any career path or job, you can contribute to sustainability.
Hmm.
Like, for
Yeah.
example,
True.
I am a advisor to the Philippine Stock Exchange. We have a group of volunteers that contribute in their roles. Somebody from
Mhm.
HR, somebody from IT. We need all of them to work together. It's not just the expert like me or my colleague Bree, who is full time working on sustainability. We need all departments to contribute. And the HR role, the accounting role, they are more clearly defined job paths and professions,
Hmm.
like what
Yeah.
Victor mentioned before. But just last week, there was the inaugural meeting of the sustainability professionals group that's linked as well to sustainable ph. This
Hmm.
has been formed because more and more youngsters in the Philippines have sustainability as their profession. It might be on ESG, environment, social governance. The financial sector is increasingly applying these criteria to rate companies. So especially if you work for a big listed companies, they need to do this. They
Hmm.
cannot just ignore it anymore. I mean, there is legislation. The Securities and Exchange Commission in the Philippines has already issued a mandate for sustainability reporting.
Hmm.
Comply or explain. If you don't do it, you got to explain why you're not doing it. So this is becoming real. Then we have the question from Christian: can a career in technology industry contribute to sustainability? What's your view on that, Vic?
Very highly, very highly. Nowadays, technology is a major player in driving economics, but at the same time, it is a major player in driving sustainability. You need applications, you need software, you need solutions that can actually help encourage and even promote sustainability. One of them is that the company that Matthias mentioned earlier. They are a driving force right now in sustainability, and there are so many companies out there. Some of them are existing already, and some of them are not yet. And it's up to you to find a niche, to find what kind of a specific aspect of sustainability you want your expertise to be of better use. So I would say technology definitely.
Yeah, and we can just continue the question there. We say hi to Tato Rex as well. Great to see you, Tato. But I will jump now to John Edwards' question because it's very much
Mm.
linked to this, and then we can address the questions or the comments of Yulubert, Jules, and Mika. Subsequently, you guys are coming up with great questions.
Mhm.
Really good to have you all chip in. Advancing technology on sustainability. If we make technology deliver more efficient processes, more efficient dematerialized solutions as well, like
Mhm.
nowadays we do a lot of things with
Mhm.
physical things, or look at transport. You know, people have their gas guzzling cars to move from A to B. If we can come up with, you know, rail links or future, what is it called, hyperlinks or
Yeah,
hyperbole or
yeah,
whatever Elon Musk is talking about, if it really works and it can deliver people fast from A to B
faster.
with a low carbon footprint, or technology companies that usually sell something that we do online now. Just imagine about Zoom or other technology companies. StreamYard is a technology company. In the past, we needed to physically come together. Vic would have had to travel from Subic to Metro Manila. I would have had to travel from San Pablo City to Metro Manila. We would have both wasted 5 to 7 hours in traffic. We would
Yeah.
have burned a lot of petrol. We would have then met physically in a studio somewhere. Now
Yes.
we can do it through technology. So technology helps us to dematerialize, to take off the carbon. So there are loads and loads more,
Well,
manufacturing processes, technology can make it more efficient.
let's put it this way, Matthias. Internet, internet as a whole has helped in advancing sustainability, the sustainability message. Just like you guys, you're watching using Facebook, if I'm correct. 20 years ago, when I was studying, there's no Facebook. We don't know what sustainability was all about. Had I known, like I said, if I know what I knew what I know now, you know, I would have definitely went the sustainability path. But we never had that opportunity back then because internet was just starting, right? But now you have social media, and social media has been a driving force in especially among millennials in finding out and knowing and learning more about sustainability. So that's just one of the best examples. The social media that you're using, YouTube, Facebook, or whatnot, Twitter, has been a platform in spreading sustainability to a wider audience.
Yeah. We have Gelber Meraba wants to be a teacher to help others and share his knowledge to everyone. That's great.
Mhm.
Teachers are so important. Teachers are so much needed in this world. I'm a little bit shocked sometimes how the payment of teachers in many schools in Philippines is very low, which I think is not the right thing because it doesn't give teachers enough recognition and reward for what they're doing. Because we need the teachers to start sharing the sustainability opportunities in education with the young people at an early stage. But I was happy to see that when I looked at some of the magazines that the students, teenage students, use in the Philippines, there was quite a lot of content in there on climate change. So that's great. Yulibet, full support for you and focus on climate change and other opportunities. Take the school children to farming and farm actions. That is excellent. What do you think, Vic, the teachers can do?
Definitely same as yours. Teaching, uh, spreading the message on sustainability, even if it was not mandated by the Department of Education. I think teachers should always what do you call that, instill the idea of being not wasteful, of throwing the students garbage at the right receptacles, for example, teaching about segregation of waste. Those are the least, the easiest things that a teacher could do. And if you can do more, teach about climate change and the environment, planting trees, definitely even better.
Yeah, John Edward is right. In Germany, my home country, teachers have one of the highest pay. Yeah, they get very valued.
I
They
think I
live a
think
good life, and they have to first pass quite a rigorous degree at university. So
Mhm.
the demands for them are quite high as well.
I think teachers though, like I believe like 2 years ago, the government also raised the salary of teachers, but that's more on the public school system. I'm not sure about the private. I've heard that private school teachers are paid less compared to their counterparts in the public sector, or like public
Yeah,
schools.
I heard about some salaries from teachers in private schools, and I was shocked.
Mm.
I mean, I was really shocked. But coming back to some of our other questions, first we'll address, yeah, we can address Jules' question, and then we address Mika's question. What do we think about the vertical forests, like the Nanjing Tower in China? Can it be implemented in the Philippines also? Vic, any view on that, or shall I take this question?
I mean, I have a view on it. If it can be implemented, I think that it could be, and it's just a matter of the big companies really trying to take part. It doesn't you don't even need to come up with a building similar to Nanjing, but at least put more trees at the, what do you call that, the penthouse or something. But obviously, Matthias is more knowledgeable on this one, as this is his sector. So I will leave it to Matthias.
I wouldn't call myself an expert or a
More
knowledge
knowledgeable.
bank on this, but yeah, thanks for passing it back to me.
Yeah.
I don't see any reason why we cannot do it.
Yeah.
What I've noticed here in the Philippines is fresh vegetables and fruits are extremely expensive.
Hmm.
So if you can actually supply fresh fruits and veggies to Metro Manila, in Makati, BGC, where the prices for those produce are quite high, or you can even supply it farm to table,
Yeah.
to the hotels. You have a good business with good margins. Surely there is a business opportunity. And actually, my Facebook friend, he is half Pinoy, half German, Ralph Becker, I think a little bit Luxembourgish as well. Not
Mm.
sure whether you're watching, Ralph, but I will tag you when I share this later on. Um, he is actually doing exactly that, urban farming in Metro Manila. And I know he's gotten a lot of traction recently because I think, particularly during the pandemic, people realized how important it is to get your fresh produce. And in
Yep.
the early days of the pandemic, when the logistics were difficult, some of the things in Metro Manila come from Baguio, they come from
Yeah.
Quezon, and then suddenly, lockdown and all these things. Yeah, fresh veggies and fruits here in the province is actually fairly affordable. That's great to hear, John Edward. But I
We
I find, yeah, Vic.
I mean, like I was gonna say, like us, for example, here in the city in Subic or
Mm,
Olongapo, we have our own tiny urban garden where we have tomatoes, chilies, all like vegetables that you would usually buy in the market. At least
mm.
now we established that during the beginning of the pandemic. So now we are reaping the benefits of what we planted, and it's something that everybody could definitely do, whether you're in Manila or anywhere else in the country.
Yeah. So let's come back to Mika's question. How do we know that we choose the right courses, especially in college? Mika acknowledges that she is having a difficult time choosing. My recommendation would be follow your passion. You know, Follow what you feel you really like doing and knowing more about, even if it's not exactly 100% spot on. Like what I was doing in school, I enjoyed chemistry. Most people don't like chemistry, right? But I wanted to know, where is the pollution coming from? And I was quite good at maths and chemistry, the sciences. So I did them. But later on, when I was at university, I was studying chemistry, and I was getting bored of spending most of the time in the lab
Yeah.
cooking and boiling chemicals.
Yeah.
I realized I'm a people person, I'm a communicator, I need to be out there. It was not too late to adjust. You are
Hmm.
not stuck nowadays with your college courses that they determine your future. You can adjust, follow what you're passionate about, where your emotion guides you, and then later on combine it with the iterative realization of where your chosen path is. We can always adjust in life. Some people study A, they work in B. It's not important exactly what degree you have, unless you want to follow some of those classical professions like doctor, accountant, lawyer. Then it's very clear what degree you need. But you want to do business, you want to start your own company, you want to work, even if you're an HR professional in a company nowadays. Or,
Hmm.
what was the course you studied at university, Vic? What was your degree in?
I studied economics,
Yeah,
economies,
economics. You would
business.
expect you would expect him to be a professor, right?
I was
Economics professor.
Actually, I was expecting to be a banker because my dad was a banker when he was a manager of a bank. So my world revolved around that. So that is my thinking. I want to become like my father. When I but when I was in high school, I realized I'm pretty good at speaking to people. I'm pretty good at PR, but I'm also an artist. I drew, right? I
Mm.
was sent to national and international contests for my paintings when I was younger. So later on, I wanted to become uh what do you call this, fine arts graduate. But my dad, like you, said there's no money to gain being a painter. So That's the story. It's very similar to you, Matthias. So eventually, I decided I went for a test in the University of the Philippines, which I passed, and then I had the civil engineering, which has the quota, and economics. Never had one, so I was thinking, okay, if I do economics, then I could become a banker like my dad, right? So that's what I said. For me, there's really no way. Like what Matthias said, uh, you have to think of whatever you are taking right now. It's not always gonna be that which you will get into when you start your profession, your actual career, when you get paid. It's not a perfect science, but if you want to be sustainable and you're very passionate about it, you can always integrate that in whatever it is that you will be, the career path that you will be
Hmm.
journeying on in the future. That's how I look
So
at it.
isn't that amazing? Both Vic and myself have the same experience. Our fathers told us you can't make money with your passion, but the truth is somewhere in the middle. We
Hmm.
don't want to ignore what our parents tell us.
Yeah, of course.
We don't want to 100% take it as definite. I basically didn't take it as definite. I knew I had a calling, so I followed my calling. And I think Vic as well. Otherwise, he would have become a banker. But maybe he wasn't so passionate about banking. So he did marketing, now sustainability. And I think you're enjoying what you're doing, which is very important.
Actually, if I did not go to sustainability and I'm still in Canada, I would be a public servant working for the government of Canada, because that's a chosen path that I felt that was very profitable, very meaningful. You get to serve the public, right? But it doesn't always work out the way you always wanted it. So, like in my case, I have to take some detours towards where I want to be. And until now, it's not a perfect science. There's no such thing as I take this now, I'm going to be, successful someday. First, you have to evaluate what is your measurement of success? Is it the money? Is that important to you? Here in the Philippines, the problem here in terms of the education system, and I'm glad they kind of changed it with the K-12 program, is the fact that as soon as you finish high school, people are forced right away to go to higher education, either college or university. But in other countries, let's say in Canada, where I came, a lot of the people that are studying university are around like 25 years old. They spend the first couple of years after graduating in high school trying to find what is it that they are going to be passionate, what is it that they really want to do, trying to find out that one. And you can only get that by actually working, work either full time or part time. With the way the education system is now, actually you can find work right after high school. That's why you have to spend another 6 years in high school. You have junior high, you have senior high school. So why don't like I'm not discouraging you to go to college right away, but if you can and you really want to find out what you're passionate about, you should try to also look for it by entering the workforce for a couple of months at least until you discover something about yourself, and then maybe that will let you know that, oh, I'm actually passionate about the environment sciences. There you go.
Yeah, it's a very good point. If you have experience in between finishing your college, your university, your high school, the German system is different. That's why, I think the Filipino is like the American system. But get
Yes.
experience in between so you become more clear on what you're really passionate about. We
Yes.
have two more comments or three more comments. One is from Jules. They saved money, 3,000 pesos in expense
Mm,
on vegetables in the span of 3 months. Very good. And
very
if you
good.
harvest it yourself, it's a great feeling, right? You
It
you
is.
love it because you actually know you have accomplished something. It's a beautiful thing when it's and you connect with nature, you touch the soil, you plant. We have a lot of greenery out on the balcony. And then Bianca, hi Bianca, great to see you here. Bianca is the host of the Scouts for Sustainability.
Mm.
I'll be on that show uh, in February, yes, in about nearly 2 weeks' time. So I'm really looking forward to that. I think it
February
is
11th.
the I think it's the
11th.
13th. I think it's the 13th, if I'm not mistaken. But maybe Bianca can write the date down and the time. I'm definitely looking forward to that show, and it will be nice to get interviewed by the scouts themselves. This coming Scouts show will have Karen Ibasco, my good friend, Miss Earth Global 2017. She will be on your show. So, guys, you should really get ready. That's excellent. And Mika says that we answered her question, helped her a lot. That's great to hear, Mika. I'm really happy to hear about that. We That's what this show is for, to help you guys, to really get additional tips on sustainability, tips that you can use for your personal life. Now Jay is asking a very good question here. Is it true that too much solar panel in the world is bad for the environment? That's a good question. There's
Hmm.
been a lot of stuff on the internet as well about this topic. And
Lately.
obviously, um, there is no free lunch, I would say, when it comes to environmental impact. There's always an environmental impact involved, even with renewable energy.
Hmm.
When you manufacture solar panels, you need a lot of energy to manufacture them. The process of solar panel manufacturing is very energy intense, and it's a little bit like a semiconductor factory. You
Hmm.
have chemicals, you have hazardous waste. So, to manufacture solar panels is not a small impact, it's a significant impact. Then you have the end of life question. What happens after 30 or 40 years when your solar panels might be out of action? Now, there are different technologies. One type of solar has cadmium inside. Cadmium is considered a hazardous waste because it's a toxic heavy metal. The normal polysilicon um, solar panels are not really hazardous waste as such, but we need to address the end of life. If you have a very good, efficient solar panel manufactured, it takes you 1 to 1.5 years to recover the environmental impact of the manufacturing in operation. Solar is still hands down much, much better than coal, oil, or non renewables. But yes, it has an environmental impact, but it's not bad for the environment. It's better for the environment than non renewables. But we need to manage that environmental impact and the end of life properly. Thanks, Bianca, as well for clarifying. February the 8th, 8 p.m. on Pinoy Scout TV we have the session with myself and Bianca. So I'm looking forward to that. And then we have Jay. I hope we answered your question. Yeah, John has another point here. What do you think of the carbon emission decreasing due to the pandemic? Now, Victor, you want to say something about that first, or shall I take that?
Oh, it's pretty obvious, right, Matthias? Because we discussed this previously also during the pandemic, during at the start, and the height of the lockdowns. Obviously, carbon emissions went down, and we've seen photos, videos of the changes that occurred in Metro Manila alone on social media. But as we begin to what do you call this? Begin to loosen up on the lockdowns, here we go again. We're seeing negative changes as well. So it just proves that human activity is a major driver in impacting the environment. So that's what I think about it. So you have to think about that also, I guess, in some ways, that our activity as humans are a major uh, factor in rising carbon emissions and changing climates. What about you, Matthias?
Yeah, they went down temporarily in comparison to the year before.
Mm-hmm.
But the total carbon dioxide and climate change emissions are still going up.
Going up.
The CO2 concentration in the ambient air is still going up because we are still adding more. We are emitting more than the forests of the world can take in and absorb
Yeah.
due to photosynthesis. So it was great that we had a temporary reduction compared to the year before, but we still have far too much. And what I think is a very important learning during the pandemic, suddenly a lot of the, for humans, even more toxic emission, sulfur dioxide, nitrous oxides, PM 2.5, that really impact our health in Metro Manila and in other densely populated areas, they were suddenly massively reduced. That meant people could breathe much healthier air. And this is very important for people who are asthmatic, who have respiratory
Allergies.
diseases. Very, very important. Like you, Vic?
Like me, I have
Wow.
allergies. I have allergies in the Philippines.
So, were you breathing healthy and clean during the pandemic? Did you feel it with how your
Uh,
body was reacting?
oh yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. There is a huge change during the, I would say, like that 1 month or 2 months. But after that, obviously, like you have vehicles out again, and yeah. So, you know, and I'm not saying that we should completely lock down everything, because obviously, you have this issue on economics as well, affecting the country during lockdowns like these. But you know what, Matias? Aside from the carbon emissions, we also have to address one more thing here: the number of surgical masks or face masks that have entered the waste stream that are not being disposed properly. Here in where I live, a few weeks back, I found like a full plastic bag of surgical face masks that were just thrown into the open sewer, and
Mm,
it's a shame. So you know what? Like, we use surgical masks now, and it's gonna be part of the new normal. But if you do, please try to dispose of it properly, also. Otherwise, like that is gonna clog up our waterways, our sewage, and most importantly, it's gonna enter the environment, the habitats of aquatic animals in the open sea, right? 1.6
yeah.
billion, I believe. I saw. I sent you that photo of the latest statistics for 2020. 1.6 billion surgical
Mm,
masks went into the ocean. What a shame.
yeah. That is a big shame. That is a huge shame.
It
Okay,
is.
we will finish off with three questions from the audience. Then I will have one more question to you, Vic, at the end.
Okay.
Uh, we have Neptune here. What can you advise me of being a future science educator to have a more sustainable career? I think that's great. Science
Mm,
is so important in the context of climate change. And Neptune, make it fun, make it interesting. Become somebody that can deliver inspiration and experience. That's what youngsters want. They want an experience, they want inspiration. If you can do that, if you can make it fun, if you can make it entertaining,
mhm.
you're the man. You're the man. Bring it on. Bring it on. Yes.
And
And
also,
actually, yeah, Neptune is saying he dreamt of inventing innovative, sustainable technology. Yeah,
mhm,
and this is what we need for the educators, and you can maybe work with your students to invent some of that.
yep.
Yeah, so, and you can be the guide, you can be the inspirer. Excellent, excellent. So we have Jules as well here. What can we do to minimize vehicle emission, especially public transport? Vic, vehicle emissions. What do you think?
Well, my understanding is the government here in our country is trying to, uh, what do you call that? Either manufacture locally buses that are more sustainable compared to the older jeepneys, right? So I think that is a good step forward in order to reduce carbon emissions. But at the same time, we need to reduce the number of vehicles on the road. And I think a more comprehensive, more efficient transport system, public transport system, is definitely going to help make that happen. Everybody has a car nowadays. And while that's cool,
I don't
that's
have a
great.
car. I
I
don't have
don't
a
have a
car.
car either.
For the past 20 years. Wow.
Tell you what, that we're on the same boat in a lot of things here. Anyways,
Yeah.
like when I came, I used to have a car when I was in Canada, but when I went back to the Philippines, I've never owned one. If I need one, I'm just gonna rent. That's my thinking right now. Do I want to have a car? Yes, sometimes it's very convenient to have that ability to have that freedom of just traveling, going somewhere. But you know what? Like if you can't afford it, for example, or you want to live sustainably and reduce your carbon footprint, uh, one of the good things that you could do is take public transport, given that the public transport system is more efficient, it is clean, it is sustainable. That would really help out uh, in reducing vehicular emissions, especially in public transportations. Because let's face it, Matthias, we have carbon testing centers here in our country. However, I notice a trend wherein jeepneys, for example, they would clean up their jeepneys before the testing. They would pass, but after that, it's back to the same old, wherein you have emissions.
Yeah.
The black smoke once again. Carbon monoxide is very deadly, people. If you don't know that yet, there, I said it.
Yeah. Carbon monoxide, carbon soot, the carbon particle,
Yeah.
carcinogenic, cancer. More and more people
Yes.
have cancer. And yeah, we should shift the jeepneys from the old style to the e-jeepneys. Those
Yep.
exist. They are affordable, but a lot of people have invested a lot of money into their jeepney. That is their, let's say, earning
Yep.
vehicle. So providing the right incentives to ensure that people can earn even a little bit more when they shift to e-vehicles rather
And
than the classical jeepney, that needs to be the solution. And the ADB has given the Philippines government quite some money. I hope that that is going to be spent in an effective way to start supporting some of that transition. So definitely e-vehicles would help, particularly for inner city environments, but then we need to make sure that the electricity powering those e-vehicles comes from renewables as well. So,
yep.
and we have one more question here that's about population growth. That's obviously a sensitive question in a way. I agree, John Edward, to a certain extent that, and I went actually so far that I was thinking of not having any kids at one point in time because we have already more than 7 billion humans. I'm glad I changed my mind. I love my kids so much, but now I have even more responsibility to make sure that their life is not a burden to a planet. If everybody would go climate neutral, we would have solved the problem. But then I
Mhm.
have to convince 7 billion humans on the planet. Are you climate neutral? Maybe we should talk about that in a future show. Just ask yourself that question. If everybody eliminates their negative carbon footprint through tree planting, through
Mhm.
energy saving, through carbon credits, through supporting local agriculture, that where the soil absorbs the carbon, that could be a good way forward. Now, my
It
final
is.
question for you, Vic, um, does it pay to be a sustainable manager, sustainability advisor, consultant, trainer, whatever else, or adopt sustainability in a normal job? Is it
Um,
rewarding?
I would say like it really depends on how you measure your success, or how you measure rewarding, right? I would say, is it, like you asked, profitable? By that, I would think, is it financially rewarding, right? It could be financially rewarding, very much. I mean, for the last 7 years, in what I do, I'm able to raise two kids, and another thing is, like, with these projects that I'm working on, the hope is that eventually it will become, something that could help me in raising my kids. I'm not, like, it's not you're not going to be Bill Gates or Mark Zuckerberg doing it right now, but it's a living, it's a source of income, and you can make it very profitable or not at all. It all depends on what amount of work you put into it, right? So, like any profession, you have to look at it as something that it's generating income, very good income, but at the same time, most importantly, you're actually doing something very meaningful, not just for the planet, but also for the future of your children or the people that you love, if you don't want to have one. So there you go.
Hey, you don't need to be Bill Gates. You don't need to be Mark Zuckerberg. You just need to be Elon Musk, man.
There
And
you go.
what did
Even
he
better.
do? He came up with a green
Yeah.
technology product, right? On the
Yes.
other
Yes.
hand, the
Exactly.
batteries are the problem. So, the batteries are, and
Mm.
e-vehicles, depending on your power source, are not that much greener if you look at the full life cycle than normal vehicles, unless you really have a good source of electricity. But that's a more complex discussion. But hey,
It is.
essentially, that was a green technology innovation that Elon Musk made all of his money with. So you might become a billionaire with a great invention that helps the planet and helps the world.
But you also, like we mentioned, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, and Warren Buffett, for example, like three of, just some of the most wealthiest people right now, right? And each one of them, if you guys don't know, have are engaged in some form of sustainability programs, whether it's within their company or outside of it. Bill Gates, for example, he's not actively uh, he's not actively is not active in the operations of Microsoft, but he's very active with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And one of the things that they've been doing is, for example, providing support and funding to startup companies, to innovations that support sustainability. For example, one of them is in your side of the neck of the woods, in UPLB, International Rice Research Institute. They are a major funding source for the operations of the International Rice Research Institute in order to promote uh, agriculture, rice growing, sustainable rice farming, and all that. So think of it that way.
All right. So we had a great session today. Thanks so much, our friends, especially from the Pinoy Scout TV.
Thank you.
Great to see you all here, asking good questions, making good contributions. We love you guys, and thanks, Vic, for coming on the show today. See you again
Always my
in
pleasure.
2 weeks' time. 2 weeks' time at the Sustainable PH show every 2 weeks Saturday. See you on the Scout Pinoy TV on the 11th. And yes, John is right. We got to give credits to those billionaires that are helping the world to be a better place. And yeah, we really agree with you on that. Okay, in some cases there might be other objectives as well, what they want to pursue, but some of them really genuinely are giving and contributing for the betterment of the planet and humanity, and that's great to know. Scouts are here creating a better world. Scouts are the ones connected with the planet. Sustainable PH is contributing, and great to hear, Jules, that you learned a lot today. We are happy to hear that because that's what we want to contribute to. Thanks, Victor, for inspiring our young Filipinos. They learned a lot from you and a little bit from me. And
I learned a
thank you
lot
very
from
much,
you.
everyone.
Thank you
Thanks
so
as
much.
well for Kim in the back room to help us with the show
Thank you,
and
Kim.
to link it with Scout TV. So see you again soon, guys. Thank you, everybody. Bye bye.
Bye bye.